Bien, Jesús Hoyos, de CRM en Latinoamérica. Como ya saben, estamos aquí pues todos los viernes a las 3 de la tarde, donde tenemos conversaciones pues con los proveedores de la industria, específicamente pues aquellos que están ofreciendo servicios de CRM, MarTech, Call Center, CX, todo lo demás aquí en Latinoamérica. Vamos a cambiar ya mismo a inglés porque hoy nos acompaña pues Raj, que él es Head of Partnership para Latinoamérica, para Freshworks, y para que conozcan a Freshworks, que es lo que hace. A lo mejor usted lo conoce como Fresh Desk, pero ellos hacen muchas cosas más. ¿Ok? Tomando eso en consideración, ya saben, estamos en LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, no sé dónde más, se me olvidó, me fui en blanco, y luego van a estar en mi podcast y eventualmente en Instagram. Raj, welcome to Drinking Coffee with Jesús Hoyos.
Thank you so much.
The English version. Yeah, well, thank you so much. I mean, I know that you are around the world, which is, close to 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock your time. I have people from faraway places. I have people from Poland, South Africa, Manila, Spain, so UK. Okay, so of course, all over Latin America. So thank you for joining us today. So before we start talking about Freshworks, and you can tell us who you are, what you do, what is Freshworks all about. This is supposed to we need to talk about coffee, but unfortunately today I feel under the weather, so I'm drinking. I have a new cup. A friend of mine, R2, he's a small business consultant in Puerto Rico. He gave me in Puerto Rico this cup, but I'm not drinking coffee. I'm drinking tea today. Turmeric bliss, just to take care of my cold and everything that I have. So how you doing? You drink coffee? You drink tea?
I'm drinking coffee today, and we have a Latam flavor. I'm drinking Colombian coffee. So yeah. So firstly, Jesus, thank you so much for having me here. I mean, I've known you for quite some time now, and I've always wanted to be, on the show talking to you, right? And I've known you for quite some time as an influencer, as someone who understands the product deeply, as someone who understands the market deeply. So this is quite exciting for me. So thank you so much, firstly. And cool. So who was Raj, right? So that's an interesting one. Raj is a very simple person, and I work for a very simple company, right? A simple company which does a lot of great things, right? And that is Freshworks. We've been in the market for close to 10 years, done a lot of amazing things, right? Probably the second fastest company to reach 100 million in terms of revenue, right? And now we've gone IPO. We've done a lot of things, right? But the most important milestone which I can recall immediately is the IPO, and we have had a great IPO as well. But that is more from a revenue perspective. But what we do, what are we as a company? What is the DNA of the company? Is that we basically help customers provide good experience. What we basically sell is experience, right? Are we going to be helping our customers to provide a better experience to their customers? And are we going to be helping our, let's say, customers or their internal employees to provide a good experience to their internal customers again? So we are in the business of, not business software as I would call it, but we are in the business of experience. How can we help our users provide experience on a day-to-day basis, the best experience which we can? So a simple company.
Yeah, and which I forgot to say this in Spanish, but I'm going to say this in English. I have two hats with you guys. I'm part of your influencer analyst group. I get invited, to see the product reviews and your conferences for the analyst days and everything. So, I know Alan, which is, one of your key guys for the industry analyst relations. He manages all of that. So, and Alan has been already twice with us as well. The last year and beginning of this year. And at the same time, at Solvis, we're also a partner, people probably know, several we do all CRNs that can put together an ecosystem. Okay. So saying that, something interesting because, you mentioned that you went public. Okay. And I know your numbers, I cannot say your numbers, but I know your numbers, very interesting. You having a very strong organic growth in Latin America. managing Latin America from India. You have many partners already in the region, and people are finding you. People are looking at your solution in Latin America. You have all kind of customers, and it's very interesting because one of the questions that I asked to the CEO during the analyst day, virtually because I couldn't go to Vegas, was what's the plan to growth, and the first thing that I like about that is partners. We need to grow in partners, and that's very key because that's how you quickly growth in the region. Saying that, Raj, how do you see the market in Latin America from your industry perspective?
Got it. Firstly, I see a lot of innovation, and I'm not talking innovation in SaaS. I'm talking about innovation across Latam, across industries, right? And because of this innovation, I see a lot of stress on customers to retain their own customers, right? So because of which these customers, whenever I talk to my customers or prospects or partners, what they're looking for is something which is going to help them retain customers because their competition is growing. Their competition is constantly evolving and coming up with a lot of innovation, right? And what these companies are essentially looking at from Freshworks or any other SaaS player is basically a software which can help them poach customers or it can help them retain customers, right? And that's where the game is headed to. So the basic which I see in Latam, and I've been with the Latam market for close to 4 years now, and I've seen this grow, right? I mean, starting from 2018 and we are close to 2022 now, is basically innovation in the market, wherein the customers are slowly becoming more adaptive to digital. They are adopting multiple channels, and there's a lot of innovation in the market across industries, be it fintech, be it e-commerce, be it banking, be it logistics. Because of this innovation, we see players like Freshworks or any other, software vendors having a lot of opportunities in the market wherein we have chances to grow. And that's the way I see the market evolving in the future as well, Jesus. And that's where we see a strong opportunity for Freshworks because we feel we are adequately placed, we are rightly placed at the right time because the customers are changing, the customers are evolving. Our products are definitely a good fit into what the customers want as of now and even for the future. And I see the customers buying for the future in Latin America right now.
Do you think, let me go back to customer retention because, it was very obvious that was an issue during the pandemic. And it's still very obvious, with the growth that, many of your competitors have in the worldwide, especially, in the customer service area, especially in the, this is my perspective. I don't want to say omni-channel customer service, but I want to say multi-channel customer service. But that's another topic, But in these many channels, customer service, you got to do WhatsApp, you got to move to the other channel, you got to move to email, back to chat, then phone, and so on and so on and so on. People, the people are so diverse that for whatever the reason, we're forgetting that there's marketing and sales, and that's why, the customer retention is so important because we're forgetting that part of it. I'm talking about, companies. Now, it was very obvious during the pandemic that was the problem. People got upset, service was not good. I had an issue, actually the first time traveling, from Florida to Puerto Rico and then come back, I've been in the airport, the two airports, Fort Lauderdale, San Juan, the hotel and the airline, they were not doing a good CX. Actually, I don't want to call it CX. I want to call it common sense stuff. Common sense stuff. Like I go to the hotel and the guy says, "Hey, I think I forgot to have my membership ID. Could you put it in?" He said, "I'm sorry, I cannot add it because you bought the ticket through the airline." I'm like, "What? Okay, you want me to get the points?" "No, but I want you to know that I'm staying here." So you know that. "No, you got to make a phone call, figure it out." It would be so easy. Say, "Hey, download the application or take these kiosks and create a case." I'm here with you. Let's do a chat. They can clarify that. Or that person could have the screen to empower with empowerment with the data, and he could create a case right there. Takes 30 seconds.
Exactly.
You know what? See, so at that moment I said, holy cow, are we really forgetting about common basic stuff? And I know there's pandemic fatigue, vaccination or not, the mask or not the mask. They're showing staff. They cannot automate sometimes, blah, 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 blah. But come on. Then, I have to check my flight. So I go to their website, the airline. It's all in Twitter, by the way. So I can play already on Twitter.
Okay.
So I go to their website and I cannot click it. You need to call because you cannot change the ticket here. So I call. So I go to the press one for English. 120 minutes. I said, oh, let me try the one in Spanish. Press uno para español. Press dos. Click. 90 minutes. Yeah, what? So I said, so let me go to the airport. 3 hours before that. So I got there. I changed the flight. They charged me. And I say, I would like to have, an aisle. I said, sure, you have the aisle. But she put me in like, that's a group number C. But she put it on 1F. So by the time that I got there, that I have the duty-free stuff that I bought, my computer bag and everything, there was no space. So I think, and the guy is taking the luggage from me. He says, sorry, no space. Don't go that way because, forever, go to the back. He said, and I told him, don't you think that if the plane is full, that you will save 2 or 3 for people that come in late? Or the person might tell me, Jesus, you better off checking in the back, and you do the human thing, we won't charge you. But guess what? And here comes the thing for retention. I did complain. I guess 6 hours later, I got the response from the hotel and I haven't heard anything from the airline.
Yet.
And that go back to the question because, when we talk, that means that you have to do digital adoption and innovation. And I want to put this in perspective because you do have, a product for omnichannel. You have, a product for desk, customer service. You have a product for marketing. You have a product for sales. You have a platform, and you can buy pieces, okay, or you can buy the whole thing together because people are looking simplicity. I wish that those agents are at the airport for the airline and for the hotel have something that they can look at a unified record of Jesús Hoyos so they can make decisions, charge me or not charge me, and provide me the information up front.
Got it.
And that's part of what I see, and this is something that I like, that I saw last week from you guys, that you don't call it CDP, you don't call it, I don't know, data mining or AI, you have all that, but you call it the unified record. And I've seen it, it's really good. Okay, a unified record. And so saying that, now that I put in perspective and I took that out of my chest. How do you manage? I mean, how based on my experience, how would your product fit in a company who wants to have a unified record?
Got it. But I'll just go back to your example, right? You are the customer, and then what you expected from the brand, I mean, be it the airline or be it the hotel, was not customer experience. The way you saw it was that common sense. Hey, I'm using a service. I'm expecting something very simple, right? And what do you think was missing in this? Right? I mean, do you think it is the fault of the brand? Do you think the airline wants to give users a bad service? Definitely no, right? The way I see it is that it is not exactly the brand's fault at every time, because every brand definitely wants to retain its customers. Every brand wants to give out the best experience there is to all the customers. They want to make you feel like a king, right? That's every brand's promise or the promise to itself, right? What matters is the execution, and where they fail usually is the execution. And it is not, the way I see it, it is not the business failure, right? It is the business's failure in some way to empower its agents, right? Because end of the day, who is going to be providing that experience to you? It is the user. And what did Jesus feel as a experience mismatch during the whole process was when you were at the reception in front of the hotel, right? The guy at the reception was your brand, right? He was representing the hotel to you, and he or she was not able to provide the best experience or the way you saw it, common sense to his. And that is where we see a problem, right? And that is exactly what we want to solve. The way I see it, and this is the secret I'm going to tell you, right? We it's
But I thought, wait, get your papers and pencils, you know? Go ahead.
right. We talk about empowering customers, we talk about delighting the customers, right? But what we'll have to do, right, as a sales rep, right, what I'll have to basically make sure is that I am delighting the user, right? And the user is the agent, the user is the guy at the reception. Had that agent been empowered to deliver that experience to his, right, had we made it easy for him, right, had we empowered him, had he had that contextual information, right? And I'm using this word consciously. Had he had that contextual information that, okay, hey, he says had booked a room with us, he says had traveled from A to B, and he's at the hotel, and he is basically our customer, he would have made you happy, right? It's not about making you happy at the end of the day. He would have provided what you wanted. Happiness is probably the next level, right? But what you expected was something smooth, and you did not get what is smooth, and you had a bad experience. I'm going to ask you this: would you go back to that hotel again?
No,
And,
no,
and, and
you know, it's funny because I did, and it has to go to the human touch and understand what it is. Uh,
exactly.
I was there for a conference, and I went to another hotel to do the conference, and I mentioned this example. After it was finished, guess who approached me? The hotel manager. Jesus, we're here to help you. And you know what, going to what to secret, they said, you know what, even though we're a global brand, they said, we're here to delight you. We want you to feel happy. They say exactly that, what you just mentioned.
Yeah.
And here's my and we start talking about, I gave them a bunch of tips, how to improve the email marketing, all that kind of stuff. But we engaged. But the human interaction was there because, and I think, like you're saying, the delight went, from delight meant to happy. So I was delighted that they came to me. I said, we, stay with us. We want to take care of you. And that made me happy. It was a human conversation versus a transaction. And that's part. When you want to do the delight, man, and you want to convert somebody to be happy on that interaction, you got to be human. It has to be beyond the transaction. So goes back to what you're saying.
Got it. And I'll put it this way: we might be SaaS leaders. I mean, we might be great analysts, but end of the day, it is the king is the user. The way I see it, right? Because the user has to make sure that he is able to give a good experience to the customer. And the way I see it is that the user drives opinion, right? Opinion definitely drives adoption, and adoption is definitely going to put the brand on the path to growth, even in terms of the SaaS software or even in terms of the user or the end customer, right? So it's all on the user. And going back to you mentioning about unified customer records, right? I mean, let's remove the technical terms out of it, right? Because for the agent, it's simple. There is someone standing in front of me, and how can I serve this guy who's standing in front of me to the best way possible? And what I need is information, right? He doesn't care what it is called. It doesn't matter if it's going to be called unified customer record or UDP or whatever. What I need is that information that, okay, this is a customer who has come to me. He has probably booked a hotel. He has booked a hotel with us for the last 6 months. He has been a prime customer, a VIP customer for us. And then, I mean, he has given us business worth this much, and I have to take care of this guy in the best way possible. And that is the information I need. And that will push me for urgency. That will make sure that I, as an agent, is able to provide the best experience to someone standing before me. And that basically delivers delight, right? So unified customer record is basically us empowering agents, empowering the users towards better customer experience and consequently delight, right? And that, it basically, I mean, it talks about marketing, it talks about sales, it talks about everything, all contextual information which you need about a particular prospect or a customer available in front of the agent, right? And that helps them again. So that's the way it goes.
You know, it's funny because, you know, when you talk about the, you know, the unified customer record and empowerment, you know, I have here to my second screen, I have, you know, fresh sales suite, which is marketing and sales together. Okay. And, you know, I have contacts, I have accounts. You have contacts and accounts, you don't have leads. Leads is part of the life cycle. Hello, people, knock, knock, knock. Leads is legacy. Freshworks, breaking news. They don't use leads. It's part of the life cycle.
Yeah.
Get the trial, you will see it. But that's what I want like that, because that's the only way for you to have a unified record, you know, because today we're people, we're persons. Okay. So it doesn't matter if you're doing B2B or B2C, you know, the fact that I can have here, you know, I like it because you call it conversation. You know, you have the inbox, you have the email templates, you have the sales sequence, you have the bulk email, you have the phone, the SMS, the voice drop. You have segments, journeys, journey template, journey emails, email campaign, transactional emails, all together, WhatsApp campaigns, all together, you know, offline events, because that's what it was missing, you know, at the hotel and at the airport, because they didn't know who Jesus was. It was a seat and I don't know, a hotel room.
Exactly.
You know, and that's what, you know, this is very important, because in the industry, you know, we all talk about customer 360. Sometimes we don't know what that is. You know, and the whole idea is, you know, I like simplicity. I like understanding that there's a unified customer record. You have access to the small data that you have in here, and you can make decisions based on that. Of course, you want to bring billing records, you want to bring all that kind of stuff, but sometimes we forget about, you know, what that really is, you know, from that point of view. So saying that, could you explain a little bit about the different products that you have?
Got it. But I'll just go back to unified customer record for a minute, Jesus. So what we spoke about was more from a customer retention perspective, because that's what we were discussing. But we also see, businesses reach out to us because they are constantly evolving. They are upcoming businesses, probably they are startups or companies which are on the growth path, and they want to acquire customers. And probably these are customers of other brands as well, right? And that's where the unified customer record again comes into the picture, because you are able to go back and upsell to these customers again as well, right? And that's where this contextual information helps you again. I'll take the example of, your experience at the hotel again, correct? So you are at the hotel and we understand that, okay, hey, this guy is coming back to the hotel again and again. I mean, probably we understand that this guy is into business, probably he's attending conferences, blah, 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 right? And if I'm able to give out a targeted, meaningful campaign to he says that, okay, hey, next time you travel to Puerto Rico, I'm probably going to give out a 20% discount on, let's say, the business classroom. That is what is going to excite you. Maybe I might still be traveling to Puerto Rico, but I am not a traveler who's going to be traveling to Puerto Rico again and again. But you have come back to Puerto Rico 10 times, let's say in the last 24 months. You are a power user, right? And I know that I can drive more business out of you, correct? And I'll have to basically provide that hook wherein I'm able to bring you back to the hotel again and again. And that is where, as a software, it's not about the AI, right? I mean, we spoke about human touch, and the human touch here is I'll have to have that information, and AI is just an empowerment, right? I have to have that information which has to provide that human touch. And then, hey, he says, I know that you're traveling to Puerto Rico. I know that you might be traveling for the conference again. If I'm able to provide that personalized message, hey, he says, I'm sure you have some business travels coming up in Q1. Interested? We have a 20% discount. Click on the link here. That is the sort of information, or that is the sort of a campaign which you want from us, rather than providing a bulk email to, let's say, 100,000 users, because my version of a travel to Puerto Rico could be for leisure. Your version of a travel to Puerto Rico could be business, right? So it is important. And if I'm going to get a business travel related message, it's not something which is going to resonate with me. And if you're going to get a message based on leisure, I don't think it's going to resonate with you as well, right? So what is important again is context. What is important that we basically target the right user, and we make sure that the message is completely relevant to them based on whatever they've gone through in the past. And that's why the unified customer record becomes all the more important, because it basically, I mean, we talk about blurring lines, but I'm going to talk about overlapping lines, right? Because marketing and sales have to work together and drive the revenue engine forward. And that's why the unified customer record, I mean, becomes all the more relevant and important to any business going forward.
And that's why you need an ecosystem. And that takes me back to my question. You have, Freshdale has a bunch of different subset of products. You have, Fresh Sales and Fresh Sales Suite, a Fresh Marketer by itself, Fresh Service, okay, Fresh Team, and there's a bunch of free tools, and you have a bunch of other stuff in here. You have a platform. Could you elaborate? Because, one of the things that I've seen, and there are some niche players like you that are developing software, out of the United States.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay, for emerging markets. And I don't like to say emerging markets, for different markets. Okay, because sometimes these emerging markets, we're way ahead of the United States.
Perfect.
Okay, in terms of technology, So the thing is that we don't have a good marketing department in Latin America to promote everything else, But
probably we should talk to them. Freshworks would probably help them to market Latin America better.
Yeah, my bad. Sorry about the cough here. But tell me about your products.
Got it. Cool. So, I mean, like we discussed in the beginning, right? We are in the business of providing delight, right? The software is just an enabler, right? I want to provide delight to someone. I sell software to provide delight. And I see two divisions within the company, two ways by which we work towards this. One is more towards customer experience, the other is towards employee experience, right? And just in the case of customer experience, we make sure that we cover the entire customer life cycle, starting from marketing, which is basically going into lead acquisition. And then we talk about sales, and that's where we spoke about leads, we spoke about contacts, we spoke about records and all of this, right? So we have the marketing tool, which is basically Fresh Marketer. That's the beginning of the entire customer life cycle, someone who's basically going to be coming in as a prospect. And then we have Fresh Sales, which we call the Freshworks CRM, right? So that's where we basically focus on the sales side of things. We manage the contacts, records, campaigns, making sure that we are moving the customer towards multiple stages. And then we have Fresh Desk, or anything related to omni-channel, or I mean, we have always had this debate whether it's omni-channel or multi-channel, right? But let's choose to call it omni-channel for today.
Go with your messaging. Another topic, we can discuss that.
Yeah. So I mean, for today, this is going to be omni-channel, and that's where Fresh Desk comes in, right? And it's pretty simple, right? These might be products, but let's look at it as a unified platform, or something which is going to solve for marketing, for sales, and customer support. And that's the logical flow of any customer, right? You have the marketing department, or you have the business development department reaching out to these guys, prospecting them, and adding them to the platform, top of the funnel. And then this is qualified, it goes out to the sales team. The sales guys work on the prospect, they make sure that it is getting converted. And then there's an onboarding phase, and then there's a support phase, wherein you will have to work on retention. And retention doesn't only stop with support. We also have something called Fresh Success, which is a customer retention tool. So we basically cover the entire life cycle of a customer, starting from acquisition, right? Top of the funnel, the sales part, the support part, and retention, and continuously farming them, and again going through the cycle again and again. He says, I'm not able to hear you. Yeah.
No, it's my bad, because I was muted because I'm coughing. So my bad. So all of these that you're mentioning, I placed the link of the different products. One common data.
Exactly.
Model.
Exactly.
One.
How
many clouds?
One.
Ladies and gentlemen, Freshworks. Let's drop the mic. Listen, this is something that I've been, Raj, I came from Siebel, Bantif, Clarify.
Yeah.
And back then, everything was very focused in the industry and very focused in one single data model. Of course, it wasn't client server, okay, but it was sort of like centralized, fast forward, we have the cloud, and we have 7,000 clouds out there.
Mhm.
You look at, if people follow the MarTech hashtag, there's a bunch out there. And then even if you look traditionally, into the CRM system, sometimes there are different clouds, depending on the product and the version and everything. One with a focus on sales, one with focus on service. The other one is just a Rolodex, for contact, which is fine. But the tendency right now that people are looking simplicity, people are looking at unified customer record. It doesn't matter, what it is. And I know, that you empower people just to do that, and that's very key from that point of view. The simplicity to manage an ecosystem and reduce the technical debt is really important. Now, from the Latin America point of view, okay, and I want to mention this too, that now that we, most of my Tomando Café live streams are in English, but and in Spanish. But I want to mention this, Latin America, we have complex, environments. We have ups and downs in our economies, and you can have, a pyme, which is a small business that 10,000, with 10 people, or you can have one that is growing, 100, 500, or you can have an enterprise, a local enterprise, a local multinational with a small business budget for the United States, okay, and at the same time, you have a multinational from overseas that they have the local currency / the local budget. When you look at the simplicity, it makes totally sense. It makes sense 100%, especially when you look into the pricing as well, because you also provide simple pricing for that. Saying that, what are good case studies or good industries that you see in traction in Latam? Because you talk about digital adoption and innovation, and it's happening everywhere in Latin America, especially in the fintech environment, in the industry, commerce everywhere as well. So all kind of real estate startups as well. And there's big companies as well. Mercado Libre, Amazon, they're all expanding like crazy. What do you see? What good case studies? What are the trends that you guys see?
Got it. I like the way you started this, right? Latam is basically a mix. It has SMB, it has mid-market, it has large enterprises, based out of Latam, and large companies out of US or anywhere else in the world based out of Latam again, right? So it's a mix. You cannot have one approach towards all of these customers, and that's where I feel we're doing great, right? Because we understand the life cycle of each of these customers, because every customer goes through a different life cycle. Probably they are in the evolution stage, probably they are in the growth stage, or probably they are in the mature stage, and each of these companies have different expectations out of the software which they choose. Probably there's a company which has siloed software, and then they're just looking at unifying all of this into one platform. Probably there's a company which is making use of software A but is trying to move to someone like Freshworks just to increase the efficiency, right? Probably there's one company which is making use of legacy software, and then they go through a change management process trying to adopt the agents, or adopt the company in itself towards some modern software. So the difference across all of these companies is huge, because probably in the US I can categorize all of these customers into, let's say, they're looking for efficiency, but in Latam I can't do that, because customers are in different stages of growth, and as I put it, the need out of the software is probably efficiency, probably unification of all of these things, or probably change management. And that is where we feel we do really well, Jesus, right? And we have had great success in certain industries where then we are doing great, right? Fintech is one industry where then we see tremendous innovation in Latam, starting from Sao Paulo in Brazil. We are doing great in Santiago, Chile. We are doing great in Mexico, right? Mexico is one of our focus markets for fintech as well. Because I'm not able to name customers because these are fintech and probably we are bound by NDA, right? But fintech is an industry wherein we are seeing a lot of change, and in the sense these are the new age digital banks, correct? I see revolution in this space because customers are slowly moving towards the digital banks, right? They need the new offerings, and even the customer is changing, right? Because of the changing nature of the customer, I feel the businesses are also changing towards more of digital platforms, right? And
Yeah, Raj, let me sorry to stop you, but let me add this because I had a couple live streams in Tomando Café and the one that I do on Tuesday, Conversaciones de CRM, CRM Conversations, that every company needs to be a fintech. So because with all this payment, and at the same time, closing the last mile, because the moment that you provide this payment easy, and you reduce the cost that traditional banks have, you can become your own fintech. So that's very key, because that's how I see many of these startups in Latin America evolving. So I want to add that because that's a trend that I see more and more in Latin America and other places outside the United States. So again, and fintech is not just PayPal; it's beyond that. So.
I mean, a random example. I mean, we know one big coffee house, and there was an article which I'm sure you would have read. The amount of reserves they have only because of their loyalty cards, right? And they are again into fintech in some way, like you put it. Their main business is coffee, but I mean, because of the loyalty program, they're also fintech, right? So that's the way it goes. I'm completely in agreement with you. But yeah, so fintech is one industry which is, I mean, rather than we focusing on them, they are focusing on us, is what I would say, because they need the omni-channel, right? They need a platform, they need a way by which they could reach out to their prospects in multiple channels, right? I mean, be it through WhatsApp, be it through chat, or they also want to provide the same level of comfort, ease to the customer so that they can reach out. Fintech is one. Logistics and e-commerce is something which we have done great over the last 2 years, I would say. I mean, I'm talking more of post-pandemic because the normal has changed, right? And e-commerce has gone through. I read an article where in e-commerce, the growth it would have, taken in the 5 years, has basically achieved that in 2 years, right? Because of pandemic. So e-commerce is one more area wherein we're doing great. And again, that's more because of the kind of offerings we have, more because of the kind of support which we're able to provide to these customers as well. And travel, I guess, I miss traveling to Latin America, and I hope, travel really gets back to where it was a few years back. But travel was one industry wherein we were doing extremely great, right? And I know there's going to be a strong rebound. I guess we call it guilty travel. I guess that's the new word, right? And there's going to be a huge wave of guilty travel again, because no one has traveled in the last 2 years. Travel is one more industry wherein we feel it's really going to hit its peak in the next 2 years.
What, based on what you're saying.
Revenge travel, sorry, not guilty travel, revenge travel, but whatever. Yeah.
Actually, both, because, based on my experience, talking about customer retention, my experience will be, I'm going to do road trips. I'm going to do short trips. I'm going to do more local stuff. I don't feel okay traveling. Forget the pandemic. I don't feel okay because travel is not. You cannot predict. And customers want expectations to be met. They want to be delighted. They want to be happy. And at the moment that any of those interactions are broken, and the employee, the agents, whoever it is who's managing that interaction, that person doesn't have the empowerment, and it doesn't have the link that I just provided, the customer, the unified record, to be able to see it, I don't know, it's just still the same. So that's why sometimes I know you're talking about adoption, innovation, but I get the feeling that we're still using more channels. Yeah, we're trying to do digital transformation, but I tweeted this morning that we're focusing in Cyber Monday, Black Friday, and Buen Fin Day in Latin America, but it's promos and it's mass mailing and it's, hey, buy from here right now, what's going on? Why I see all these tweets everywhere out there, people are going based on the flavor of the day. If you don't have a unified record and forget big data, forget BI, forget CDP, forget master data management record, with the data that you have in front of you, that, by the way, when you don't have that unified record in front of you, meaning your CRM with sales and marketing and service integrated, what you do, let me export from marketing, let me export from here, let me export from there, let's go to Excel, let's do a pivot table, let's launch the campaign. You are too little too late to do that.
Got it.
You know, so that's, you know, I mean, that's what it is. So by looking at, you know, at what you provide, that you provide segments and journeys and templates, you know, with sales and marketing data, you know, and you have desk, you know, then you can have service data, and if you have, you know, other things that are coming from external system, basic information, common sense data that you can use to delight and make people happy.
Yeah.
You know, so seeing that, Raj, you know, we have another, you know, 3 or 4 minutes or so. How people can contact you guys? You know, could you talk about your partners? You know, if somebody's listening to this, they say, you know, I like to do this. Would they go and do a trial? You know, what do you suggest them that they should do?
All right, cool. So I'll make it very simple, right? Customers are basically looking out for technology, right? And it's important that they choose the right technology or the right stack, right? I mean, the right stack of business is basically going to put you on the track of growth, right? If you choose a wrong stack, probably as a founder or anyone in the business, you're going to be spending unnecessary time looking at fixing these systems, and you might not be focusing on your core business, which is to basically, I mean, let's say it's going to be into coding, let's say it's going to be into hotels, restaurants, or whatever. You're not going to be spending enough time on your core business. So what we basically bring to you is ease. What we basically bring to you is to make sure that you are able to delight your own customers, correct? And the best way to reach out to us is basically through the website. I mean, go back and then look at our trial page, hit on trial, and then we'll have one of our partners reach out to you. We'll have one of our reps reach out to you. And then we can do a customized demo for you based on what your requirements are. And then you can see where we land together. And that's the way to go about it. Yeah.
Perfect. And before we go, could you explain the Freshworks Neo platform versus marketing, sales, and this and the other tools that you have?
Got it. So the Neo platform is basically, let's say we have the Freshworks developer platform, and then we have the Freshworks marketplace, right? So, and every customer or every business has its own need. Let's say it has its own internal systems. And then it is important that all of these systems talk to each other, right? It can't be that the business is just working out of a Freshdesk or a Freshworks, I mean, box or whatever it is. It is important that information which is siloed is basically brought on into one place. And that's what, I mean, the unified customer record is all about, right? So Freshworks Neo is basically the platform wherein we are able to build apps, and it's not only the marketplace apps. We have close to 1,100 marketplace apps, I mean, integrated with different businesses, right? Different SaaS products, different CRMs. And I mean, we also have multiple, and these, I don't think there's a number to put to this, but we also have a lot of apps which are developed by customers themselves, right? Because they would be able to integrate their systems with Freshworks. So, and that's how we have built the Freshworks Neo platform as well, because it is basically, the power is at the customer's hands. They are able to build these integrations to our products so that they're able to bring all of the siloed information onto one place. And that's the power of the platform.
Perfect. Raj, I really thank you for having a cup of coffee, tea, a lot of water, you know, and being sneezing with this cold, but thank you so much. So I'm going to switch now to Spanish. I really appreciate, don't go, remember, stay here. Okay. I really appreciate your time joining us. We're going to arrange for the people who are listening to the next time, you know, probably, you know, early 2022 to do a demo. Okay. So people can see more about, you know, what you guys do and the good stuff that you guys provide. But again, like I said, go to Freshworks. I put the link in the comments. If you go to freshworks.com products, you can start the trials. It's very easy to do. Okay. And if you want to buy, you can buy from there too. So it's easy to do from that point of view. So don't forget that. So saying that, okay, este ha sido Jesús Hoyos de CRM de Latinoamérica, Tomando Café. Ya saben, regresamos el martes con conversaciones de CRM. El lunes tengo mi podcast también, así que los espero. para que estén presentes. Y si me quieren seguir, pues jesushoyos.com, follow me, ahí están en el website y van a encontrar todos los lugares. Nos vemos y que tengan un buen fin de semana y sigan cuidándose. Hasta la próxima.